Well, thank you all for being here. And as Andy pointed out, it's certainly impressive the distinguished guests that are here in attendance. And for many of us, they're senior officers that I've worked with, and learned from and have been mentors. But I have to tell you, and all of the grads in the room will appreciate this, my AOC is here. Captain Mark Welsh was my AOC, and now he's sitting next to me. I checked out my uniform before I sat down, so sir, it's good to see you. Thanks for overlooking a number of those things, so I appreciate that. It turned out okay. So thank you, sir. I have to tell you that it is such an honor to be here tonight, and I really want to thank the Association of Graduates for what you do and how you represent us. On Tuesday, I was in Idaho with the Association of Graduates chapter in Idaho, and last year I made a number of stops around the country, almost 40 stops. I had an opportunity to meet a number of our graduates from all of the years, and if you look across this room, and there's a number of 1959 graduates that are here. And recently I've been in an event where I met a young lady that was accepted into the prep school for this coming year, which means she will be in the class of 2024. And so when you think about that, I've had a chance to experience and see the long blue line myself. And so I also add that I personify in a lot of ways the long blue line because the shoulder boards that I'm wearing tonight are General Stein's that were given to me by his family. And so I say they were given to me, and I'll certainly hold on to them for a while, but years from now I plan on coming back and giving them to the, depending on how long I can go, Virginia, we'll give them to the 25th or 28th superintendent or something like that. So thank you all for being here tonight. I have to tell you that in my office I have a picture that was drawn that's an artist's rendition of what the Air Force Academy was going to look like when it was conceived and signed on April 1st, 1954 in Public Law 325. And so on my wall I have this artist rendition of one particular view that a number of grads would recognize, and it is looking east in front of Mitchell Hall to the footbridge that's across to Fairchild Hall. Cadets spend about 1,400 days here, right? And in 1,400 days they probably pass that space, 3,000 times. In front of Mitchell Hall, into Fairchild Hall. And it's an artist's rendition before we even broke ground. And what's unbelievable is how accurate it looks to what that's going to look like. So to me, I see that as my responsibility to always find the vision that General Harmon and the founders came up with then. And that rendition represents that. That it looks just like it does today. And so is our vision that they found, are we realizing that vision today? And I'll tell you yes, and I'm going to give you a few stories to tell you why. And so prior to this assignment here as the superintendent, I was the deputy air component commander in the Middle East, running the air war against ISIS from Afghanistan through Syria, and a real privilege to serve our airmen and the coalition force that was fighting ISIS. And so in that role, in the operational level of war, you are synchronizing air and space and cyber and all of the assets in the coalition, the ground forces. That's your role, is the synchronization. And so there was one particular operation that we were working on that was a real opportunity to get at a center point for ISIS in Syria. And it involved coalition. It involves a lot of special operations forces that we're going to go in and we're going to collect a lot of intel. And we're also going to take an opportunity to take some bad guys off the battlefield. A lot of assets, a lot of space, a lot of cyber, everybody involved, intel preparation, information that we had been collecting for months and in some cases years. And so as all of that came together, there was a video teleconference that had to happen on the moment when we made the decision that we had all the elements together. About 70 different stations around the world that were all together because there were elements across the world that were really involved. And all of these stations are tuned in, and there was a captain. A young lady in the KAOC, in the Air Operations Center, who was the intelligence officer and who had put together the intelligence planning for that. So it was her time in the briefing. All the forces had been presented, all of the elements that were there, all of the special forces that were in place, all of the air assets that were going to be available, all the space alignment, the cyber synchronization, all of that was available. It was her point to brief at that point in the video teleconference. She stepped up. She said her piece. She went through the triggers that had to be met in order for this operation to happen, and she quietly walked through all of it, and at the end of it, she pronounced the triggers had not been met and the operation did not need to go, and she sat down. And there was, just like you, a bit of a stunned silence right there. And then about 30 different stations on the video teleconference all launched in. They questioned her hard. Why, what were your sources? Why are you saying this? What was your reasoning? What was your logic? They questioned her hard. And she hung in there. She answered every single question that there was, and she sat back down. Just completely unfazed by the event. She's a 2011 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. And she absolutely rocked it. Absolutely rocked it. The better part of that story is that 2 days later, we executed the operation. Nobody got hurt. We collected amazing amounts of intel, and we took a number of bad guys off the battlefield when we did it when she said it was the right time to do it. That's the best part of the story. So I have to tell you, thank you. And so I think that our true measure of that vision should be our graduates and what they're out there doing. But I also think there's another part of that vision. And that vision is about what General Harmon and the founders looked towards, which is that we should always be looking forward. And so I would offer that to decide whether we're looking forward, you would only have to look at my schedule over the last few days and my schedule over the next couple weeks. So yesterday I had an opportunity to meet Brigadier General Michelle Edmondson. She is our next commandant. It's a woman, space operator. Tomorrow there'll be a number of cadets that will not be at the parade because they'll be downtown presenting original research because the United States Air Force Academy is the #1 funded undergraduate research institution in the country. Next week, thank you. Next week, we have a number of cadets that are going to be at the Space Symposium. They're going to be talking about the satellites they designed and they're operating. Talking to subject matter experts about the experiments that they're running in space. The week after that, also on my calendar, the United States Air Force Academy is going to host a cybersecurity summit. So there's a woman that's going to be a commandant who's a space operator. We have undergraduate research going, cadets earning patents. We have a space symposium participating from cadets who are launching satellites and a cybersecurity summit that's happening next week. All of that's on my calendar, by the way, and none of it General Harmon saw. But what he did see was that we should be looking forward. We should be always looking for what's next. We should be looking for innovation. We should be looking around the corner for what is next. And that is the vision that he gave us. And I would argue that we are not done. And if you find yourself saying the academy should be this, or it should do this, or it should have this, I think that you have missed the point. Because we don't know, and I don't know. And the wonderful, wonderful aspect, the magic of the United States Air Force Academy is that we will never know, because we should always be looking forward for what we don't know. Thank you very much.